What's up, my friends? Welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition. Here we are with Aceario. We got Solus back here and Dorian. We're going to go ahead and touch base with more people in Haven here. I believe Dorian has a great deal of things to talk about, probably. So let's go ahead and just get that going.
The Inquisition supports free mages. What's next? Elves running Halamsharal? Cows milking farmers?
You mind, lady? She's fucking two-stepping on us. Look at her. Fucking breaking it down. Just hear the beat. You hear the beat? I hear it. I can just hear it in my mind, baby. Look at it. Oh! Alright, let me talk to Dorian here. You mind? Back up. I can't even... Alright, what did he even say? The Inquisition supports free mages. What's next? Elves running Halamsharal. Cows milking farmers? I'll think of something. You disagree? It had to be done. Ace will think of something.
Give me time. I'm sure I'll surprise you.
I suspect that's untrue. Unless you strip yourself naked and allow the Chantry to flog you into repentance. Now that would surprise me. I do wonder if you've considered what this support of yours will do. For mages in general, I mean. The Inquisition is seen as an authority. You've given Southern mages license to, well, be like mages back home.
You're ruining the moment here, lady. How can I get her out of here without ruining the dialogue here? Maybe one just let her keep two-stepping until we get a break, I guess. As long as the mages are like you, Dorian. Oh, yeah.
If that means they're anything like you, I approve.
Ha! There aren't many mages back home like me.
I'd believe that.
I never fit in. Bloodstains are so difficult to clean, you see.
So we're doomed to a future of blood magic, then?
Not at first. But you'd be a fool not to see where this could lead. Thing is, the Imperium was once just like the South. Templars, proper circles, all that rot. Then it changed. By inches. Not that this is reason to oppress us. Still, my homeland should be a cautionary tale, not a source of inspiration.
We have a lot of stuff here to say, which I would love to say, but I need to... This lady needs to get the hell out of my way. There. You want to get in that spot? Is it that important to you? Ya schmuck. Goodness. She was pissed. Alright. Let's see. Let's ask him... We got... Tell me about yourself. Let's ask him about himself.
It occurs to me that I barely know anything about you.
Beyond my being a mage from Tevinter, you mean?
Beyond that, yes.
And beyond my being so charming and well-dressed, which is obvious to anyone.
Ooh, it's obvious to me. Damn right it is, Ace.
I'm well aware of your finer qualities, believe me.
Of course I believe you. The moment I saw you, I thought, there's a man who knows quality. Now, what was I talking about? Ah, yes, me. I am the scion of House Parvis, a product of generations of careful breeding and the repository of its hopes and dreams. Naturally, I despised it all. The lies, the scheming, the illusions of supremacy. That's Tevinter in a nutshell, isn't it? Needless to say, my family was not happy with my choices.
The product of careful breeding. So the Tevinter lore, we're going to get a big dump on Tevinter lore here, friends. And it's absolutely wonderful. And it's going to be actually interesting because I'm wondering some of the stuff Dorian will bring up. I'm guessing Ace probably will have seen in his travels. But nonetheless, it's so intriguing to talk to Dorian. Not to mention, look at Dorian's armor. And all the people in Haven, him and Cassandra's stock little Haven gear or Skyhold gear is just so freaking epic. Like, look at these boots, man. I wish we could just craft this for him all the time. But I don't think we can. Alright, let's see. Let's ask him about this careful breeding thing that he mentioned.
What did you mean by generations of careful breeding?
The great families of Tevinter don't have children. They refine traits, weed out the undesirable, and promote the rest. My mother was chosen for my father because magic runs strongly in her blood. Never mind that they loathed each other. They wanted a son who could become Archon to make House Parvis the envy of the Imperium. They got me. A cautionary tale that you should be careful what you wish for.
You don't like Teventer. It doesn't seem like he doesn't like Teventer, but maybe it seems like he's got a little bit distaste for Teventer at times.
I'm getting the impression you don't care much for your homeland.
On the contrary, I care for my homeland a great deal. There's so much potential. Sadly, we squander it. We refuse to acknowledge how far we've fallen because pretending is easier. We pretend the Qunari can be beaten. We pretend that we're superior to everyone, even our own people. Not everyone feels that way. I don't. Sadly, we're the minority.
He's the best parts of Teventer, friends. Take it in. So if you ever wonder what great mages in Teventer probably are, well, this is spitting image of what the great mages in Teventer are. At least the ones that are good. Because I guess you can still consider yourself a great mage, even if you're a bad mage, but that just depends. I'm not just talking about power here, I'm talking about morals, per se. But why do you care?
It just seems so much of what you say about the Imperium is entirely negative.
It might sound that way. For all our faults, my people have many virtues. We are laden with history and culture. Teventer is where Thedas truly began, remember? We treasure our past and preserve it. You can walk down a side street and find nothing built during the modern ages. And despite appearances, we care deeply about everything. We have no reserve, not in war and not in love. If I truly believed my homeland was beyond all hope, I wouldn't miss it so much.
He is saying that Teventer truly does care for pretty much the state of the world, not just Teventer. And that's pretty humbling to hear, friends. That's really good to hear in general. So they actively care what people think, and you gotta really respect Teventer because all this shit that they've been through. Could you imagine? I mean, they went through all the blights. They have the Qunari just non-stop knocking on their door. And they're still there, proud, and still probably the strongest force in all of Thedas. So you have to respect that, man. And I gotta say, I cannot wait to the next game, friends. I cannot freaking wait.
Why would your family be upset with your choices?
Because I rejected their idyllic plan. If they had their way, by now I'd be married to some unlucky girl from a powerful family. We'd live in luxurious despair, despising each other as I waited to take my father's place in the magisterium. I declined the honor, and thus it's best I'm far from home. Less of an embarrassment that way, you see.
He's declining his father's offer to join the magisterium, pretty much. That's what he's saying here. Interesting. Sense of story. If you don't know, if you can't tell, I am actually, I would say Teventer is probably my favorite place to actually want to visit in Dragon Age. I like the Anderfels and such like that because I like the Wardens and Navarra, Antiva, but I think out of all the places that we know in Thedas, I think Teventer is probably the main place that I really want to see. It just sounds so dark, and just it has so much potential, friends.
Why remain with the Inquisition? Why not go back to Teventer?
I'm not exactly welcome back home. Not that it matters, I'm quite accustomed to being a pariah. It adds to my charm. I can do more for Teventer here. If the Venatori succeed, it'll set my homeland back 1,000 years. I'm sure some magisters would disagree, but that's why we kill them.
Fucking off with their heads, Dorian.
I think I've heard enough.
That's too bad. I never tire of talking about myself.
Let's see. Ask him about Alexius. Sure.
Have you gone to see Alexius yet? He's in the cells.
Not yet, no. I saw him before they locked him up. He looked despondent, broken. Not the man I remember, nor the one I want to. I suppose the Inquisition will judge him eventually. I wonder if there's any chance they'll show him mercy. He hardly deserves it, but for Felix's sake. I can't help hoping there's something left of the man I once knew.
You know, I wonder if there actually is something left of him. Though I do feel bad for the man. Just like at the end there when he said Felix and he got on his knees and he looked at his son, that was so upsetting. You know, because could you picture being in his shoes, trying to do everything for your children, and then you just can't save them, knowing that you can't save them. It must be hard, man. But what he did, I'm glad what he did was still just, it never came true, because technically none of that stuff ever came true, and he never ventured down that dark path. So I'm glad we at least got a glimpse of it, and he didn't have to full force go down that path, because, I mean, I don't know, I do like feel this spot of just, it kind of hurts my heart for the guy a little bit, you know what I mean? I know that he did some unforgivable shit there in that path, that future, but I still do feel for the guy.
A little bird told me you were part of the Carter Inquisitor.
A little bird.
Well, a big bird. A big, indiscreet bird who was drunk at the time.
A big, indiscreet bird who was drunk at the time. You heard correctly, we all have idiocracies, and is that a problem? Ooh, we all have idiocracies? You heard correctly? I mean, I think Ace would just tell him straight up, you know? It's better to hear from him, because forging a relationship going forward, friendship or even more, it's better to be honest with somebody and then tell them, no, I was not part of the Carter. I was actually a son of the Idukans, or something like that. You know what I mean?
What you heard was true. I was once part of the Carter.
Not any longer. Too bad. They're an excellent source of cheap contraband. Back home, you see dwarves everywhere. And not just from the Ambassadoria. Rather odd how in the south, everyone thinks of dwarves as merchants. Limited view, in my opinion. Maybe you'll change that. In the future, one will hear dwarf and think Messiah. Down with stereotypes.
You're the fucking man, Dorian. That was really cool. I never heard that. I like it. So it goes hand in hand with Ace literally being a smuggler in Tevinter, friends. He's pretty much confirming that there's just dwarves everywhere back home. And you obviously know that they can't do magic. And I'm guessing they're probably not all slaves either. So the Carter probably comes and goes in Tevinter all the time, friends. Alright, well, let's keep on going with Dorian. We might as well just finish this stuff because we get him so late and it's almost time to deal with the breach.
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathous. That's madness. All right, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings. I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
Let's just take it in for a second, friends. Might be fanboying here a little bit, but out of all the people in this game, out of all the voice acting and stuff, I feel like Solus and Dorian just are like up here, and then everybody else is kind of in the medium ground. You know, they're up here, and then everyone else is down here. That's just how I feel. Like them two voice acting in this game has just, they blew it. They destroyed it, man. Awesome. Do mages truly rule there? Is blood magic common? Ooh.
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
That's what any magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion too. Of course, what people call blood magic here and what we consider blood magic are two different things.
What's considered actual blood magic in Tevinter?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant, what's the harm? The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? You always need more. That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is done. Not officially. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. Real blood magic can give you an edge, a leg up against your opponents. It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
Interesting. So no Templar involvement.
You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did, long ago. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. Most of them probably innocent.
So Templars don't really hold no power in Tevinter, friends. They're just there. They're just there to look like inanimate objects, I guess.
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. And I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a magister who makes noise, and then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprise, it's learned he was a Maleficar all along. Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
He likes being a pariah, friends. Do mages truly rule? What about slavery? Ooh, this should be interesting with Ace.
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's the center of the slave trade.
Ah, that is true.
And did you have slaves?
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. I'm not even certain many slaves do.
You're saying they like it, it's not like that here. That's a terrible attitude. You're saying they like it. Slaves are everywhere, you don't question it. Not even certain many slaves do. Interesting. Maybe they're kind of just born into it there, obviously. So you're saying they like it, not like that here? I mean, it's obviously not like that here. You're saying they like it. I don't like that here. Ace would like to hear his take on how he would think the slavery situation, the difference between there and here. So saying it's not like that here seems to be like him asking kind of a question on, or bringing it to its attention that it's not here. So what do you feel about that?
When we don't have slaves in the South.
In the south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have no way out. Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a family. Some slaves are treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
Treated poorly? I suppose not. At least they have a choice. Well, I mean, what he's saying is not actually too far bad of what Ace actually said with the Chantry. I said that if it's a difference between a man selling himself to feed his family and he doesn't care about being a servant, slave, whatever you want to call it, to feed his family, they're basically going to pay him and you just go on with your normal life. Now, what Fiona did, she had no choice. She had to go into servitude because there was no other way out, she felt. And that's different from a man just willingly going, all right, hon, so I think today I'm going to go to the Magister and see if I can get a job, even though I'll probably be working my ass off, this, that, and the other, doing servant type stuff, but it will at least feed the family and our little one will grow up having a decent life. So I suppose that is definitely not bad. So Ace could definitely understand and see his point here.
I suppose not, no.
I don't know what it's like to be a slave, true. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
You know, like, I almost wish that we could have told him that you think they like it, because now, just like the way it came off with Ace, I felt like it was going to be more of a question on how Dorian felt, since we're saying there's no slaves down here, so, and there's slaves up there, so how do you feel about that? I figured it was kind of going to be a question. I didn't know it was going to be so renegade-ish, and it just didn't feel right. So now that I think about it, I wish we could have said, you feel like they like it a bit more than that, because that dialogue and the way it came out was just completely misleading to me, at least. At least that's what it felt, but I mean, it is what it is. It was still a question asked, a little bit different from what I was thinking he was going to say. Do mages truly rule there?
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
I find it strange that your mages don't rule anything at all. Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The Magisterium rules. That magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
The Magisterium. Here we go, baby.
What is the Magisterium, exactly?
The upper house of the Imperial Senate, and the only part worth having a seat on. Those seats are split among the circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All majors now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinter mage.
I mean, he's not wrong. Everyone does call a Tevinter pretty much a Magister if it has any kind of magic, if they have magic at all. Excuse me, Magister? And it's probably like a slave. I mean, because what? Basically, even mages in Tevinter can be slaves? In some fashion?
If you're not a magister, then what are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
An Altus is? They got so fancy names. What would I be called, Dorian?
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods. If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're later. Lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soperati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy words.
So we're Soperati then. Dorian is descendant from the Dreamers. What he said, the first Dreamers, and then the old gods itself. So that is pretty damn interesting, considered that maybe, let's go ahead and speak ahead here, maybe in the next game, if everything falls in right, you could very well be seeing the next fucking Archon here. Maybe. I mean, you never know. You never know how this game works. The minds and the method of BioWare's madness is always surprising, friends.
I thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new Magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinter influence, let me tell you.
I gotta say, I think I would probably like it better if he wasn't the Archon. Just having Dorian how he is, and not have to see Dorian up in that role, because he's probably gonna get so much shit up there, and it would just be, not because of who he is, but just how Tevinter is in general. I can imagine that the Archon, just like he's such a good mage that he would try to drive a different path for Tevinter, and he would get so much resistance. And I don't know, I'd just rather see him as good old Altus Dorian.
If it's a fiction, that means mages do rule, then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave. The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
The idea that anyone can be a mage. One more thing about Dorian Altus stuff. I believe he becomes a Magister anyway, so seeing Dorian as a Magister and that's it will be fine. The idea that anyone could be a mage keeps the masses placated. Interesting. How could anyone just become a mage? I felt like you were born into being a mage in the world of Thedas here, friends. You don't just become a mage, right? Let's just dig.
Can anyone be a mage?
Technically, the potential runs mostly in bloodlines, but it's been known to happen. More importantly, commoners believe it can. Tevinter legend is chock full of mage heroes from humble origins. So they hold out hope. Someday my son or my son's son will be a mage. Someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 Pillars, at best.
Alright, so he's not saying that somebody can have a kid, right? And that kid grows up 10, 15 years, and then he tries to become a mage. That can't happen. So he's saying basically that you and your significant other have a kid, and maybe in her bloodline, which was not known, there may have been a magic user at some point. So maybe it passed a few generations and then boom, you can have a kid. So basically, it's hard to tell who can become a mage and who can't. I don't feel like he is saying that, well, now that my son's 20 years old, I think I'm going to take him to the circle, see if he can become a mage. No, it's not like that. You're born into it. You have to be. At least that's... Yeah, I'm right. No second guessing here. Definitely right, right? Right? Yeah, right? That's a lot of rights. So it's got to be right then.
Being a quaestor isn't a good thing.
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all. If you're a second-class citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
A pack of piranha? What the fuck's piranha? Oh, the fish that have the teeth? I was thinking that there's something in Tevinter called piranhas.
But let me ask you something else.
Of course.
The Imperium Chantry. Could Tevinter be an ally? Let's talk about the Chantry.
There's an Imperial Chantry, isn't there? With its own divine?
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
You know, I have never seen toilets in any of these Dragon Age games, so everyone probably urinates and shits in the public, Dorian, so I guess it's a normal thing, probably.
Is the Imperial Chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.
The circles are in command. So the circles are this place of higher learning, and that's where the upper echelon gets picked from, friends. So interesting, right? Can we just go to Tevinter now? Come on, Dorian, let's take a trip. Screw this breach, and let's just go to Tevinter.
There are circles of magi in the Imperium?
We don't have dismal little mage prisons, if that's what you mean. They're academies, prestigious ones. We have Templars as well, but they don't cancel spells or whatever your Templars do. They're soldiers. They watch for abuse of magic, yes, but only those who are weak or who fall out of favor get dealt with. Mostly they enforce the Magisterium's edicts. The Chantry smiles and nods from the sidelines.
You would think that the southern Chantry and circles would take a little bit of hint from the Tevinter one, because Tevinter did not blow its own fucking country up, friends, and they got nothing but mages running the country. So you would figure that down here would kind of take a little point that maybe we should, you know, release the shackles on the mage circles a bit and see how it goes for a while. Let them kind of govern themselves. See how it goes.
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south, they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah, blah, blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
Andraste was definitely a mage. There's no way she was not a mage. She had to be, friends.
So the Imperial Divine is always a man?
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry. It is a relic, whether back home or here in the south. Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
Others might object. I agree with you. The Chantry has its place. Interesting. Others might object. Yes, I agree with you. The Chantry has its place. Well, he always thought that the Chantry does have its place. and agreeing with Dorian to not believe in the Chantry itself, but what do you say, he believes in something, just not the Chantry? I feel like Ace would definitely agree with that, actually. And then others might adjust. Yeah, others might adjust, but we are talking about each other here. We are not talking about these others and bringing them into the conversation here. So I feel like Ace would kind of agree with him, friends. Because Ace wants to believe in something, but he doesn't really know. He doesn't know about believing in the Maker and the Stone, and then even the Elven gods. I mean, everything's there in front of him. Just don't really know what to believe.
I share your opinion, actually.
That's not surprising, considering what the Inquisition represents. I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry, but I believe in you.
In me.
That the Maker sent you, whether through Andraste or fate. Cassandra is not wrong. You are what we needed most at the moment we needed it. That's what they will say in ages to come.
I don't know. You're a fool. I agree. I'm surprised you think like that. So, surprised you think like that. I feel like Ace would be more surprised, though, in anything. I don't know if he'll agree fully. I don't know. I mean, he really just doesn't know, but I feel like he would be a bit more surprised that Dorian thinks like that.
You don't seem like the religious sort, to be honest.
If you define religious as sitting in a chantry and listening to a blithering hen tell you how to live, then no. If you define it as believing in the possibility that something larger than yourself exists, then yes. By all means, the world is bigger than I, even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know. The Maker doesn't need me to believe, but I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
It is frightening to think about.
Let me ask you something else.
So many questions.
So many questions, Dorian. It is so many questions, friend. You're a whole episode here. Could Tevinter be an ally? Ooh.
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be a useful ally.
I'd think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
Is that smart of them? Well, obviously it kind of probably is.
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely it could use allies.
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies a long time ago. We've been fighting the Qunari for what, 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, "You've had it easy for far too long." Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
I mean, it kind of is if you think about it. I mean, that's how people would think, but we aren't really part of the Orlesian Chantry. Kinda.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed the Inquisition's formation.
You think that matters? Don't be silly. The Herald of Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well be a heathen. I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
True.
That's all I wanted to know.
Fair enough.
All right, Dorian, it's been a pleasure, friend. I wish we can keep talking to you more because I can go hours and hours talking to Dorian.
I should go.
I do rather like watching you leave.
Hate to see you go, but I love watching you leave. Well, here, Dorian. Check it out, big guy. Go ahead. Take in the sights. Ace got some fucking cheeks on him.
What can I do for you?
Goodness.
We'll talk
Getting
later.
dirty.
Goodbye.
We're getting dirty in here. See if Dorian has anything else, actually.
Something you need?
Nothing at all, Dorian. Just coming in and checking on you.
I should go.
You know where I'll be.
All right, well, take it easy, friend. I'll miss you. Let's go talk to Vivian again, because she has a little bit more that I want to expend. And then we will make our way to the other companion. Oh my god, they're just teleporting here. Goodness.
Did you need something, darling?
Sure. Let's talk about our friends. Any chance we might... Oh, come on, Viv.
Do you think that you and I might someday...
Oh, aren't you precious? Of course not, my dear.
Come on, Vivian.
Did you need something, darling?
It's been 5 minutes. Let's ask her again.
I wanted to ask you about the Circle of Magi.
Of course. What do you wish to know?
Do we have anything else? Oh, we do have a bunch of more shit.
If the Circle disbanded, how can you still belong to it?
The Circle is an idea, my dear. And an idea cannot be dissolved. Many of the first enchanters voted for rebellion, caring little that anything short of a unanimous decision would pit mage against mage. Rather than dissolving it, Grand Enchanter Fiona's vote split the Circle in two. The rebels follow her, the loyalists follow me.
If you lead all the loyalists, why are you only First Enchanter and not Grand Enchanter?
Grand Enchanters are elected, and since there are no First Enchanters besides myself, no vote can be held. I could name myself Grand Enchanter, but the title holds no meaning now. When the circles are restored, that will change.
What was it like to live in a circle?
My dear, your question is the root of all problems with mages. I cannot tell you. Every circle was different. Their Templars were different, their politics unique. And every person within each tower had an experience of circle life unique to themselves. Some people suffered and some were content. Some were cruel, some compassionate, and some indifferent. The same is true of people everywhere, in all circumstances, whether they are mages or not.
Interesting, Vivi. Oh, your experience. Here we go. This is definitely something I've been wanting to know for a while now, how her experience actually was. Because, like I said, I feel like Vivian definitely had a little bit different than a lot of other mages. I'm not going to say she had it easy because we don't really know behind closed doors, friends. It could have been very hard for her. Don't really know.
So, tell me about your personal experience with the Circle.
I enjoyed life in the Montsimard Circle, my dear. It was an edifice devoted to knowledge and refinement. And mages need the company of other mages. No one else can truly understand the challenges we face, nor see the world as we do.
You remember the time when we all first went into the mage origin story and just walked around the tower? It was actually very enjoyable. I actually really loved being a circle mage in Dragon Age Origins. I don't know, it just felt good to be there. It just had that academy feel, like it had the boot camp feel without the boot camp feel, you know what I mean? It was just like, just had a lot of love to it. It felt like you really belonged to something. Just the way they portrayed the circle in the first game before it actually fell after Ostagar was just really awesome.
You must have been under constant supervision being forced by Templars to live in the tower. Was that hard to endure?
My dear, I have a suite in the palace and a wing at my dear Duke Bastien's estate. I've never been forced to live anywhere. Most circles allowed mages to live away from the tower, either on their own or in service to the nobility. All that was required was permission from the first enchanter. Some circles were harsher in their restrictions. Kirkwall was the worst, but it was the exception. Most were quite permissive, perhaps too permissive in retrospect.
So she's basically saying that all circles were actually not that bad. The only one that was really terrible was Kirkwall. I mean, you think about it, the Ferelden Circle was actually kind of lax. They let us go into the repository a few times. They let Finn actually leave the circle. So I wouldn't think her words are truly wrong here, because it definitely, most of the circles probably actually were pretty good. But they probably had a lot of behind closed doors shit going on, obviously. Because not every mage in them circles were going to be living right, you know?
You must have an opinion of the Templars after living so long in the Circle.
Having opinions about Templars, my dear, is exactly like having opinions about mages or Navarans or men. I have known some who were impossible to endure and some who were utterly charming. I have suffered insults at the hands of those in the armor, but no more than I endured from nobles or tradesmen in Val Royaux. Personally, I have found the Templars a useful tool, skilled at keeping more unpleasant elements at bay.
Alright, Viv, take it easy. Let's check in with Josephine, because I don't know if she has any more stuff.
I will take these injury reports to research in the nave.
Here's me.
Courier says you'll have
What
the
may I
reagents
do
you
for you?
requested soon.
What do the
Please
people
send
make
my
of us?
thanks. Despite our fame, we're low on steadfast allies. We must aim
Any visiting dignitaries I should watch out for?
none in particular. Our guest.
Alright, well, Josie's probably done.
If you find anything, please bring it in.
Let's go and head to Sarah. Then Varric. I know Cassandra has something here after Redcliffe.
Is the Carter angry that the Inquisition chose to side with the mages rather than the Templars?
The Carter doesn't much care where the money comes from. We just want a profitable year, and a sky with no glowing green crap coming out of it.
You can say that again, Dwarfy.
I'm listening.
You seem to know a great many people.
I have made friends, and on occasion enemies. It's unavoidable.
You seem to know Josephine quite well.
I met her a long time ago, but we didn't become good friends until years later. After the Blight, in fact. I'd just returned to Val Rayo, and she welcomed me back by throwing a diplomatic ball. She was the Antivan ambassador at the time, you see. The ball was... alright. Too many politicians. At midnight, Josie and I left to find a real party. We've been friends ever since.
A real party? Ooh.
What do you consider a real party?
It's not a real party until someone's small clothes are pinned to a chantry board. And that's all I'm saying about it.
Remember that from the Liliana DLC where you can pin that guy's fucking small clothes to the chantry board?
We can continue this conversation later.
You know where I am.
Take it easy, Lily. Hold on here.
Yes?
Anything I should know?
I've nothing to report at the moment.
Toodles. Have a good one. Alright, well, Liliana is good. I could imagine Cullen is probably on the lines of good. Josephine's good. Dorian's
Let me know if you
good.
find one.
What?
Well, that's mages all over. So many robes, I bet all of Ferelden lost their curtains. I'll just be the other side of Haven, just in case.
They're here to help us. They're what we needed. You don't like mages. I feel like Ace would think they're kind of what we needed because we can't really close the breach without help. Mages or Templars, they kind of just are what we need.
You expected something else? We needed this.
We needed? No, pretty sure that question was never passed my way. I mean, yay, freedom. Great for them. Over there, away from me.
Alright, Sarah. Can we ever ask her this?
Is the Inquisition what you thought it would be?
Well, you're dragging people together, suppose that's something. You're gonna need more trebuchets if you're going after the sky. Or, you know, ladders.
Can I get you a ladder so you can get off my back?
I'll
Come
be
on.
back if I need you.
Go on.
Everyone knows that famous saying from Origins. Every time you click the button, the fucking character would say it.
Find a young man like you. Let's get
Ooh, okay. Alright, Felissa. Talking about a man like him. That's what I'm talking about. Close your eyes, friends. What's up, Varric?
The Mage Rebellion joins the Inquisition. I've got to admit that's a twist I didn't see coming. One thing you saw in the future worries me. I mean, it was all bad. But red lyrium and Ferelden, infecting people and growing out of them, that's bad. Finding more of it really punches a hole in my red lyrium at the temple was a coincidence theory.
How fast does it spread? Yeah, that would be nice to know, friends. Because that stuff can just... It was cropping up out of people, pretty much.
How long does it take for red lyrium to grow? How fast can it spread?
It took years to infect people in Kirkwall, but no one there was actually ingesting the stuff. This Elder One managed to take the worst thing I can think of and make it worse. That's an accomplishment.
Let's keep hoping. We need to eliminate it and don't worry. I feel like Ace would kind of confine him here not to worry because of he did say that the red lyrium stuff pretty much sickened his brother and drove him crazy. I feel like Ace would tell him to don't worry, but this don't worry situation here is him saying don't worry, we will get take care of all the lyrium that we can type of feel. And that's how I feel like Ace would say with this don't worry. We need to eliminate it, yes, but I feel like he would say don't worry. We're going to go ahead and take out as much of this red lyrium as possible.
The Inquisition has the numbers to track down all this lyrium and destroy it.
I hope so. I don't want to think about what happens if it starts a plague. I've got people trying to find out where the red stuff came from. I think maybe we should make that a priority. But that's enough doom and gloom. You just won a big victory for the Inquisition. What are you going to do to celebrate?
Anything but celebrate. Plan for what's next, catch my breath, and have a party. Oh, Ace would be on board with a party. Let's do it, Varric. Let's get these dusters fucking moving.
That's a good point. We should celebrate. A banquet. Something like a banquet.
Word to Josephine, and I bet she could arrange anything. Things should be calm around here for at least the next hour. Take a moment to enjoy it. If the world's about to end, I'm sure the Seeker will let us know.
Ace motherfucking said a banquet, friends. We ain't having no banquet, man. We're gonna have a throw-out fucking massive-ass block party here in the middle of the fucking snow. We don't need no damn banquet. What do you want about, Dwarfy? You don't even know what banquets are.
And you've heard nothing of this Elder One before, in any of your investigations?
Nothing. I'm sorry.
No, it's taken all of us by surprise. We must... I don't know. He compromised the rebel mages, and is likely responsible for the disappearance of the Templars.
And we know nothing about him.
We will soon enough.
Well, the Elder One is probably... had something to do with the disappearance of the Templars, friends. Oh, no. Oh, look, Cassandra's over here recounting fucking Dracula. Excuse me.
And what are we supposed to do, exactly?
What you always do. Complain.
We've already spoken with Commander Cullen. No one listens. We want better quarters. We want the Templars kept at a distance. And some respect for...
This is not the Circle. You mages are our allies, not our wards. Act like it.
How are we supposed to...
Deal with it. It never ends, evidently.
Is there a problem? That's the truth, and arguing just makes them worse. I feel like Ace would say that's the damn truth here, friends, because it never ends in his eyes.
You don't need to tell me that.
I just don't know who told them I'm the one to yell at.
Is it that bad?
The mages are here as equals. They need to get used to what that means. It is your doing, after all. You created this alliance.
I hope it works out. I did my best. You're blaming me. Well, I think Ace would hope that it actually worked out, because he would definitely wonder if going with the mages was better than going with the Templars. You know what I mean? In his mind, he would wonder at, oh, did he make the right choice by going with the mages instead of the Templars and such? So I hope that it does work.
Well, I hope it works. What other choice do we have?
Oh, I do sound like I'm blaming you, don't I? I don't disapprove. In fact, you did well. You made a decision when it needed to be made. And here we are. I wish I could say this was my doing.
Flatterer. Ooh, Cassandra is flattering us, friends. She flirting? Damn right she is. Well, we're gonna flirt right back.
You're flattering me.
I'm not. This always happens. Nobody ever takes my meaning.
You should see your face.
I'm thinking less flattering things now. Let's hope the breach has your sense of humor.
Man, Ace even sounded like Count Dracula there too. Ooh, ha 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 ha. Goodness gracious. Can we talk to her again? Come here, Cass. Hey, come on, get out of the way. Excuse me.
Do you need something?
I sure the fuck don't.
That's enough for now.
Another time, then.
Take it easy, Cass. Enjoy yourself. What's up, Cullen?
The mages are ready to approach the breach. I pray this will be enough to close it.
Give the mages a chance, disappoint it with our allies, and it will be. Give the mages a chance. I feel like Ace would definitely tell him to give the mages a chance. What other choice do we have at this moment? So, give them a chance, Cullen.
I know you're worried about having the mages here. Give them a chance to prove themselves.
I'm not questioning their ability or their intentions, but we cannot ignore the risks. I will not endanger the alliance you've created. We need their help. Any precautions taken will be to ensure the safety of our people and the mages themselves. Nothing more.
Is there anything I should know?
Not at present.
I'd like to know more about the Templars.
What would you like to know?
Tell me about your vows.
Do Templars take vows? I swear to the Maker to watch all the mages. That sort of thing?
There's a vigil first. You're meant to be at peace during that time, but your life is about to change. When it's over, you give yourself to a life of service. That's when you're given a filter, your first draft of Lyrium and its power. As Templars, we are not to seek wealth or acknowledgement. Our lives belong to the Maker and the path we have chosen.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Another time, then.
Alright, well, everyone's pretty much done. Can we talk to her, actually?
See reason, Lisette.
Word
We
is
cannot
that the
stay
mages
here.
will be joining us here in Haven. I hope you've chosen your allies wisely, Harold.
Well, we did the best we could there, lady.
I will talk to you later.
Walk in the Maker's grace.
Alright, well, when we get back, we will go ahead and talk to Krem, because I know he has a mission. After you pick a side, he has a mission to go to where the other side is and investigate. So since we picked the mages, he'll investigate the Templar side. And then Bull might have some things, and then we still have Blackwall. But we're going to... Let's see if we can look at... I don't know how to look at the Inquisition perk level. Probably... Hold on. Is it the inventory? I'm not sure. But once we get the next Inquisition perk, then we're going to go ahead and go to close the breach. But in the meantime, we'll have to head back to the Hinterlands and the Storm Coast, which that's what I'm going to do, and probably do some random shit, friends. So that will be what we have in store for the next episode. But anyways, I'm out of here. Take it easy. Have a good one. Stay safe. And I will see you next time. Take care.